Welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson, and we've got another brand new show for you this week. It's summertime here in Michigan, and the walleye fishing is on fire. Gabe Van Wormer will take us up to Houghton Lake, chasing after some of those marble eyes, and Jimmy and Jordan have some other fun stuff for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a few more things on this week's show. And since we're going to be taking you to a classic Michigan destination in Houghton Lake, we thought we'd take you to one more on this week's show, and that's Grand Traverse Bay. We're going to be up there doing a little smallmouth fishing on this week's show. You won't believe the clarity of the water up there. And then our own Jordan Brown is going to have a story for us that, well, if you're a deer hunter, it's a Michigan-made product that you just might want to learn more about. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors. Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By Meijer, a destination for hunting, fishing, and camping. From bug spray and tents to GPS and gas, Meijer has nearly everything you need to take on nature and get you there. Meijer. By Zimmer Roofing and Construction in Port Huron, featuring Duralast roofing systems made in Michigan. Zimmer Roofing and Construction provides installation, maintenance, service, and repair, serving commercial and residential clients on the web at zimmerroofing.com. By Country Smokehouse, offering a variety of meat products. Country Smokehouse is located 3 miles south of I-69 on M53, just south of Imlay City. Country Smokehouse is a meat processor, a butcher, and a destination for sportsmen.
Chris, what's the plan of attack?
We're going to go catch some smallmouth bass on Grand Traverse Bay. Going to give it a shot out there. Hopefully we have nice weather and the waves aren't too big and we can go catch some fish.
And how's the fishing been recently?
The fishing's actually been really good. It depends, you know, on the day whether the wind's blowing or it's not blowing, but it's been pretty good.
I have been on the water with Chris before, and if he says the fishing is pretty good, well, look out, because for most of us, that means it's really good. I was excited to hit the water today up in the Traverse City area with both Chris and a mutual friend, Mick Saunders. As we hit the water, I had Chris talk about how he got started fishing and how he turned that into a profession.
Funny story, it actually started with my grandfather. They won a charter trip back in the 80s. I wasn't able to go along, so I bugged my dad until he took me on a charter. We went on the Seajoy with Captain Mike Bradley back when I was a young kid, and I found out that I could get paid to fish after I talked to the deckhand, and the light went on in a young 13-year-old's brain, and I've been doing it ever since. I cut my teeth in the salmon and lake trout industry out of Frankfurt, chartering and guiding out of there, and then now lately I've switched gears and come over to the smallmouth bass side of things. We're going to be throwing tubes for the most part, some swim baits, some stuff like that.
All right.
Basic thing to throw in a tube out there, super light line, 6-8 pound test, especially when, as you can see, we have super flat, calm conditions. Get out there as far as you can from the boat. Let that bugger get out there. Just give it a couple second count to hit the bottom.
Right.
And then what we do is just slowly work it back to just kind of shaking the tip.
Okay.
Then you'll feel either you'll feel the weight of that tube, or all of a sudden it'll just go slack. And if it goes slack, then set the hook.
Okay.
They've picked it up and they're starting to swim with it. Or you'll feel the dunk,
right.
You know, just a regular fish bite. So there you go, sir. It's all you.
All right.
Good
Cool.
luck.
All right.
See what we can do.
I can honestly say I have never before seen such clear water. It was simply incredible how much you could see. The only question was whether these conditions were going to allow the fish to bite.
Oh, you ain't a big one, but start.
Yes, it is.
There you.
All right, Chris, I want one of those.
Cute little bass.
I'm not sure if that was a cute bass or not, but the first fish of the day, well, it always looks pretty good. Chris says this part of the state has a lot of good bass fishing.
Michigan's really unique in that we have great smallmouth fishing in all northern lower Michigan, let alone northwest lower Michigan. There's several lakes that hold fish from the 6 to 8 pound range. I mean, just about every inland lake up here has trophy fish in them. Whether you're on the bay or you're on any of the glacial inland lakes or any of the small lakes, there's great bass fishing here in northern Michigan. Smallmouth and inland lakes are more concentrated in certain areas. They will swim and move, but fish here, I've caught fish that are tagged here that came from as far north as Garden Island. Just got information back from a tagged fish that I caught came from Waugashawn's Point. So those fish that come down to the bays, they swim all over, so it's not necessarily that they're just landlocked here. They do swim all over the Great Lakes.
There's a dandy.
That's a healthy fish. Nice one. Not too shabby.
Nice job, young man.
Sweet bat. Go back and play again another day. Away she goes.
Now you can just barely make out the dozen or so fish just cruising by us. We had fish around us all day in this shallow pre-spawn part of the year. If you're not familiar with Grand Traverse Bay, it has two main arms, the West and the East Bay, divided by a very special part of the state, Old Mission Peninsula. If you haven't been here before, well, you need to make the trip this summer.
You're right there with you, mate.
Doubled up?
Doubled up.
I like this side over here. I can see really good.
There you go.
These aren't the biggest ones that are out here, but they sure are fun when they're biting.
Well, these were not the big smallies that Chris was wanting to show off, but we were happy to be landing fish in the middle of the afternoon. Now, one interesting thing to me was that we caught fish on about every setup. From tubes to cranks, swim baits to goby imitations, all were working today.
Do you prefer plastics out here then, do you, Chris?
Some days, yes. It depends. You know, when you got conditions like this, you got to go a really light line. I mean, I'm throwing 6 pound test on this right here, and got to do what we can do to outsmart these fish.
So with this, is the water always this clear, or we just happen to hit a good day?
It's always this clear, but it's not always this calm.
Okay.
Calm and clear is the worst combination you can have. And it makes for tough fishing conditions. But we're going to do what we can do, and we've been fortunate enough to have a few bites already, so hopefully we can dial in a little bit more and keep catching them.
This water is cold. Yeah, that's a pretty nice one there.
After Mick threw his fish back in, Chris had a dandy working its way through this crystal clear water.
Come here, girl.
Yeah, that's a nice fish there.
Come here. Oh, easy. What an amazing fish.
Wow, look at that.
Beautiful. Beautiful fish. All right.
Mick Saunders has also been on our show before. When he first came out with a line of fishing rod products, helped to take the sting out of catching big fish, but they also do a great job on inland lakes as well.
The last time you and I were together was in 2011, which was the first year that we sold Cushits. We sold the first one in May of 2011, and that all started with the big game Cushit, and which is the real big one that you fish real heavy tackle with. And from there we made the inshore and the big bass Cushits, which are the small ones, just two different sizes of insides to fit all the different rod butts. So that's the inshore and the big bass. And then we made the all species Cushit, which is the middle sized one, which is the most popular one on Lake Michigan right now. This is the big net set of ultra floats. That's the UF3 ultra floats. 2 of them comes in a set. It's called the big net set. That'll float any net that you can buy. Nice. And so that's pretty much what our product line is right now.
I see Cushits on about every big lake charter I go on anymore. They are nice, and for inland lakes, they also come in handy to help float a rod if it goes overboard, which could have happened on this very nice smallie.
We'll keep the guppy out of the way.
Holy cow, look at that fish.
That's what we're after right there.
Yeah, that's a nice bass. That's a big one, dude.
That right there is a certified Grand Traverse Bay pig.
How big is that one, Chris?
That one right there is right at 4.5 pounds. Just a solid slab.
Sorry about that, Jimmy.
Look at
There's
that
a whole
fish.
bunch of them like this up here. You know, you'll catch 5s and you'll catch 6s and occasionally catch one over 7, but that's just a good, solid Traverse Bay smallmouth right there.
Nice job, young man.
Unbelievable. And that is the reason why right there. What they want to eat are gobies. That's what they're eating. So, awesome.
Well, I had about all I could take, so I set the camera down and dragged a tube myself, and wouldn't you know, even a blind squirrel gets a nut now and then.
Check that pig out.
Not sure how the camera work's going to be here. I'm not a professional camera guy.
Well, and I'm not a professional unhooker either.
Boy, that baby ate it. Look at how far that jig is down in there. You get it?
Look at that right there.
Nice. What a perfect day. Traverse City. Smallmouth fishing, shallow water. I've never seen water this clear. This is awesome. Nice fish.
All right.
So if you're in search of a new stretch of water to explore, consider Grand Traverse Bay. You won't find a prettier part of the state, and the fishing can be equally as nice. Try it on your own or hire a guide. Either way, you won't be disappointed in what has to be one of the best places to spend a summer day here in Michigan's Out of Doors. Well, as you can see, we had a lot of fun up there on Grand Traverse Bay. Thanks to Chris for making all that happen. What we're going to do now is drop a little further south in the state of Michigan, and our own Gabe Van Wormer is going to take us to a place that many of us wish we could spend a little bit more time, and that's Houghton Lake.
It was an absolutely beautiful summer morning at the Houghton Lake boat ramp. Just a handful of vehicles littered the parking lot, and one other angler was making his way out as we put in. Eric Plant has fished this lake since he was a kid and wasted no time in dropping his boat in the water. We'd be targeting walleyes this morning, which can be a tricky thing to do on an inland lake.
Plan is we're gonna fish a little trough out here. It's about a 9 to 10 foot stretch, about a mile stretch. We got a nice weed edge on both sides, nice clean stretch of 9 to 10 foot of water, and that seems to be where some of the walleyes have been hanging out here. I was out here Tuesday and got into them a little bit, so we're gonna plan on running some cranks today and see what happens.
Small troughs offered a chance to troll small crankbaits through areas without too many weeds. Offshore planer boards were used to spread out the baits, and it wasn't long before a board went back with a fish.
The board went back, the flag went down, and that's usually a telltale sign there's something tugging on the end of it. So, but out here on Houghton Lake, you just never know what you're going to catch. Out here earlier in the week, I caught just about everything from bass to pike, some really big bluegills, and of course, we got into some walleyes too. So we're hoping this is going to be Mr. Walleye here, and we'll hopefully see here in a minute what it is. There you go. That's your typical size Houghton Lake walleye here. They're not going to be huge like for say if you were on Detroit River, Saginaw Bay, but that's just a nice healthy Houghton Lake walleye you're going to come out here and expect to catch. A lot of them in that 15 to 18 inch size. Pulling cranks is very effective out here. You can cover a lot of water. You just need to stay above those weeds, otherwise you're going to be tangled up the whole time. And if you can find these clear stretches where there's not a lot of weeds, a lot of those walleyes are hanging around those weed edges, and you can really do well on a lot of these days where you got, like today, we got this nice chop, and that really helps break up the sunlight and keeps the fish a little bit more active versus if you have these flat, calm days, which can make for a really tough day on the water. So we'll put this one in the box and see if we can catch a few more here.
When fishing this way, you have to pay attention to the boards. If a board tips back and drops back out of line, it could be a fish. Smaller fish may tire quickly, and if the board comes back in line, you'll end up dragging a fish around without even knowing it. You've got to be watching the boards closely, especially when fishing inland walleye.
We just had another board go back here. We're not sure what it is, but it could be just about anything like we said out here. It looks like it's old Mr. Rock bass. They're prevalent in the lake here just as much as anything else. So you just never know what you're gonna have on the end of the line when you're out here fishing. I just prefer the cranks. You're not messing with live bait for one. You can cover a lot more water. I know they work because we've caught a ton of fish on them out here, and so that's the main reason why I like to use them. And the water temp's warming up enough where the cranks definitely connect with a lot of fish. So out here, the walleyes really like these little flicker shads per se, and the shad wraps, and you catch everything on them. We've caught big bluegills on them, sunfish, of course your walleyes, pike, bass, you name it. So
if you've ever fished Houghton Lake, you know that it's a fisherman's dream. It's not uncommon to catch 3 or 4 different species of fish without even trying. By using the crankbaits and speeding up, we could get them past many of the other fish, but there were still some overachievers. Not only will you find many pike, but even the panfish get into the action. As Eric tossed this hammer handle, another board went back.
Now it looks like we got a little perching on here. It's actually not a bad size one for here on Houghton Lake, but as I was saying earlier, these particular cranks, I mean, they're small enough that these panfish are going to hit them. So you're not just going to be targeting one species. Everything's going to be hitting them out here. So
on a normal weekday, it's likely you'll have most of this lake to yourself. This week was a little different because the Michigan Walleye Tour was coming to town. The father-son team of Mike and Kyle Harpham was fishing nearby and boating several walleyes as well.
It's very easy to get up here and fish these smaller inland lakes where it's not so rough. You've just got another keeper walleye on that new colored shad wrap I just put out, and as I was saying, sometimes they get so accustomed to seeing the same color going by. Sometimes all it takes is just a little change of color, and that's all it takes. But that's another Houghton Lake walleye. It's probably about 15-16 inches long. Healthy looking fish.
We decided to make a short run to look for an area with less weeds. Weeds are a constant issue on most inland lakes. Making sure you have the correct gear can help eliminate these problems.
What the tattle flag allows is for you to look and see exactly what that board's doing, and any little bit of hang up that's on the board, that little tattle flag is gonna let you know what it is. A lot of times it may be a fish, other times it may just be weeds. Looks like we got a big bluegill on here. Nice gill. These are another benefit of trolling these cranks out here. These big panfish love these cranks, and a lot of the new plugs on the market, a lot of these guys are going with these, trolling these smaller cranks because they are almost deadly on these bigger bluegills. These cranks are just chugging along above these weed beds out here, and these bluegills are just sitting amongst those weeds, and they come up and they just crush them. And you can see he wasn't messing around with the old flicker shad here, the old standby, and that's just a nice Houghton Lake bluegill out here. And there's plenty of these out here to catch for sure. There's so many weeds, and you find the weeds, you're going to find the fish, whether it's the predator fish like the walleye, the pike, the bass. But these big bluegills, those are hanging amongst those walleyes and the pike and whatnot. And so again, if you just come out here and troll these troughs along these edges of these weeds, that's where these fish are hanging out. And
the fish were definitely hanging out in this area. We spent the next hour checking lines and pulling fish. Not a bad way to spend a morning on one of Michigan's finest fishing lakes.
Hi, I'm Jordan Brown, and for our next story on this week's show, I was able to highlight a Michigan company in the Springport area who specializes in producing mineral and food plot mixes.
Hi, I'm Jack Hadley Jr. I'm the owner of Massive Mineral Mix, and what we do is we produce and package a high quality mineral for whitetails, deer, and elk. We're located in Springport, Michigan. Mid-Michigan is our home. When we talk about manufacturing, everything is produced and manufactured and packaged here in Springport, right in our barn. We have hands-on. Every employee touches that bag 2 to 3 times before it gets packaged. So that way it's weighed, it's tested for leak seals. You know, if anything leaks out the top, we package it. Everything is done here in the barn. All of our boxes come from Michigan, all of our packing tape come from Michigan, our bags and all of our product come from Michigan.
It's great to see an outdoor company operating solely in Michigan, making a product that we Michiganders can put to good use. But with all of the different mineral mixes out there, I just had to ask, what makes this one different?
What makes my mineral different? It has a neutral, sweet smell. So whether you're hunting in Ohio, Kentucky, Nebraska, or Texas, deer are attracted to that. I notice when you're down south, if there's no apple trees or cherry trees, it's kind of like a foreign smell. So in my opinion, in past experience, there's a foreign smell in the woods. The bigger bucks know that. So they tend to shy away from the mineral. So that's where I made the mineral you can take across the Midwest. It's a neutral smell.
As with most outdoor companies, Jack's inspiration for getting involved in the outdoor industry stems from a long history of hunting himself. But contrary to what you might think, it's not all about the size of the rack for this hunter.
As I got into bow hunting at a young age and started to gun hunt and wanted always to develop something in the hunting world that it's a passion, that something is a good quality product that you can share with somebody else. So after years of research and hunting and you know, mixing this and mixing that and going back to the drawing board numerous times, we finally got it zeroed in and we brought this product to the public. And whether it's a 180-inch buck, a 120-inch buck, a spike horn, or a doe, anything that is harvested is a trophy in our eyes. I love the fact that we get so many emails and Facebook about articles that, hey, thank you for a quality product. I don't so much, I like to look at the deer, but I like to read the articles. It's making memories. And that's where, you know, down the road, we want to make those quality memories for father and son, father and daughter, or a family experience. That's where Massive Mineral Mix comes into play.
In addition to the mineral side of things, Jack has also recently developed a line of food plot seeds with a variety of different blends.
Last year we introduced our new food plots, which we have 4 food plot seeds available for the consumer to plant. Our first being Habitat, which has sunflowers, winter peas, great fall mix and late winter mix, but the deer and turkeys love that mix. Then we have our clover blend. We have 4 different types of clover seed in our blend. So that will come back year after year. And you have your brassicas. Your brassica blend is probably our #1 seller right now because the turnips, the horseradishes that grow, the rape, and the chicory. That has to be planted every year. Then our last blend is our forage blend. That has a little bit of everything in it. Your rape, your chicory, your clover. Seed-wise, brassicas are #1 seller, Habitat's our #2, rounds out with clover and then forage. Where Massive Mineral Mix is continuing to grow is in our small towns. Our customer service is #1. So in our small towns, whether it's a local hunting store, archery store, mom and pop's retail store, that's where we strive on, is our customer service. We like to take care of those people and make sure our product's delivered in a timely manner. In the next 5 years, you know, that's where we continue to grow one step at a time.
It's always refreshing to see a Michigan-based company making it in the outdoor industry, especially when everything is produced right here in our great state. Special thanks to Jack Hadley for touring me around today.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you check us out online when you get a chance. You can do it a couple of different ways. You can go on our website at michiganoutofdoorstv.com, or you can check us out on our Facebook page. Jimmy, Jordan, Gabe, and I are on there every few days letting you know where we are and what's happening around this great state. Speaking of what's happening, we've got a lot in store for you coming up over the next couple of weeks.
Well, that's right, Jenny. A lot of brand new things coming over the next several weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors. We've got a good walleye story from Lake Erie, another walleye story from Saginaw Bay. I recently was taping a dog trial in the mid-Michigan area. You won't want to miss that. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors. There is a lot of good fishing to be had all around the state of Michigan. And hey, if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by the Department of Natural Resources Fisheries Division, reminding fishermen that they are our first line of defense in stopping aquatic invasive species. To minimize the risk of invasives, it is required by law to properly dispose of live bait after your fishing trip. By doing so, you help protect Michigan's world-class fishery. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore with its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses. Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. By Propane, exceptional energy. Propane retailers promote the safe use of Michigan-produced gas energy in homes, farms, and businesses across our great state. Learn more at usemichiganpropane.com. By Meyer, a destination for hunting, fishing, and camping. From bug spray and tents to GPS and gas, Meyer has nearly everything you need to take on nature and get you there. Meyer. Closed captioning is brought to you by Propane, exceptional energy. Propane retailers promote the safe use of Michigan-produced gas to outdoor enthusiasts across our great state.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my